Hello, my friends, and welcome to Doing Life Together, episode 60. How are you guys? All right. I think we are live everywhere. Good to see you. All right. So today's topic that has been top of mind for me for the past 20 years, actually it might be even longer than 20 years. And that is dental health. And so I want to talk about a topic that has been rather taboo in certain circles to even question this piece, and it is fluoride. So excited to hear what have you found in your research when you've looked into fluoride. Okay. So I'd love to hear in the comments, and I know that we have viewers from all around the world, mostly, of course, here in America, but I would love to hear where you're coming in from. I want to hear what state, what country, where are you watching from? All right. So let's talk dental health for a second. So as I mentioned, I was trying to think today how I even learned to question fluoride, because when something is so widely accepted across the board, it really takes somebody to talk into your life. Otherwise, you're probably not going to find information that goes against the mainstream narrative in about everything. And hey, that's maybe why we're here. Maybe today I'll be the somebody in your life. Maybe tomorrow you'll be the somebody in my life. I love that we truly get to do life together. I want to say thank you too for each of you who just over the past year of doing life together, you've reached out, you've shared your prayers that you pray for me. That is invaluable. I'm so grateful. Thank you, because my prayer with this, if you haven't noticed, I don't have notes, right? So my prayer before I go live is, Lord, Holy Spirit, guide my words, be my tongue. Like, my only desire is that I shine him out, and not only I have lots of desires, but that I stand in truth, right? Like, I am a truth seeker. That does not mean I'm perfectly right on everything. I'm quite certain not. I'm a seeker, right? Like, I'm still on the journey, but it has been something that God has put in me. And to be completely frank, sometimes it has not been the most comfortable thing, because how many of you believe in birth order like that? And hey, Facebook, YouTube, are you all there? I just want to make sure. Sometimes it doesn't show me the comments, but I love it when I see your comments. So give me a shout if you are watching from Facebook or YouTube. That would be amazing. And I see y'all on Instagram. All right. So does anyone believe in the birth order theory? What do you guys think about that? Yes, that was very common advice. We're going to get there. So birth order theory, I once read a book on this. I don't know if it's true or not. I have no idea. It's just someone's theory, right? But I found it interesting. And supposedly, like, the first children are very driven and achievers. And I think they're just a lot more is expected out of first children, to be honest, in many ways. I always tell Jake, our oldest, I'm like, thank you for being our practice child. And I'm sorry for all the things we didn't have a clue about yet. I will say that we did our very best, but I know we didn't do it all right. So I think older children are sometimes there's more pressure on them. And then, of course, there's theories about the youngest child in the house. And then there's theories about the oldest boy versus the oldest girl, and maybe both, anyway, it's a cool book. I don't remember the name of it, but you should read it. It was cool. But middle children, traditionally, they have some really interesting things about them. But one of the things is they seek peace and harmony because they are kind of packed in the middle, often between, obviously, if this would be 3 or more children. Anyway, at any rate, I'm a middle child. And I will tell you that for most of my life, I just wanted peace and harmony. Oh my goodness. Like, any sort of friction just made me want to leave the room. I do not like arguing. Like, I really don't. And so I probably wouldn't have done very well in debate. Our school didn't have debate, but like, I don't know. Anyway, so with that said, the idea that God has consistently brought someone into my life who said something, and the truth seeker in me went, okay, I think I'm supposed to look into that. And then I did. And then I became that person who was challenging status quo. And that's not always the most popular place to live, to be quite honest, right? So fluoride was no exception. When I began researching this, it was not a very popular decision. Dentists that we've gone to over the years, some were very much better than others. Some were very open to my requests as a mama. Some kind of acted like we had lost our mind and we were just one of those woo-woo crazy, people. So fluoride, interestingly, it's been a while since I researched like the history of it. And so I just pulled it up again, trusting that this is accurate. Let's see here. But I think it got added to drinking water. Says mid 20th century. But the interesting thing is fluoride actually was is a byproduct of some products like aluminum phosphate fertilizer and the steel industry. And turns out it's kind of a toxic byproduct. And so they found that people who were exposed to, some higher levels of fluoride didn't seem to be getting the cavities, which actually in my books was kind of a perfect way to be able to get rid of this stuff that they had as a byproduct. But that's, again, call that a conspiracy, call that whatever you want. But anyway, so shows less cavities. If you get too much, I think it's called fluoridosis, where the child can get white spots on their teeth, right? And I believe Grand Rapids, Michigan might have been the first place where they added fluoride into the water. Now, there's been a huge amount of debate on whether this should be added into our water. Now, I'm a freedom girl. I really believe in health freedom. I believe in our freedom as Americans. I believe in our Constitution that gives us freedoms. Like I'm very freedom oriented. As you know from last week, it was a very tough topic for me. And some people call abortion a freedom. And I will say, just to be clear, like I think taking the life of a boy or girl in the womb crosses my border of freedom, right? But I am a huge believer in health freedom. So like, for instance, what we experienced 3-4 years ago, where people were forced to do a certain health choice, or many people lost their jobs and things like that. Like, I'm not for that at all. I've never been so grateful that I'm an independent rep during that time, not an employee, not some, because that was hard. That was really hard to watch. So many people in my life impacted by what I consider taking away a critical health freedom. So when I think about putting fluoride in our water, it seems like we don't really have a choice, right? We can do the research. There is some pretty solid research coming out now, or being acknowledged now, that it may slow brain development in children. Let me pull that up. Sorry, where was that one? Potential neurotoxicity, which of course it may have the potential to affect brain development and function, particularly in children. Some studies have suggested that elevated fluoride levels might be linked to lower IQ and or developmental delays in children. So also there is, again, some evidence that this might be hard on our thyroids. And just think for a hot minute about the people in your life who deal with thyroid stuff. But yeah, it's been suggested by some studies that it may interfere with thyroid function, leading primarily to hypothyroidism. So that's another thing. People who have kidney issues, it's not been shown to be good. It can accumulate in the environment. So from an environmental standpoint, it can cause some problems. Anyway, so the fact is, though, that I decided when my boys were young, that based on my research, I did not want them to have fluoride. Now, in the comments, I saw someone say like, hey, I was told to give fluoride tablets by my doctor. And yeah, that's incredibly common advice. I don't know that it's stopped right now, to be honest. And I remember, and again, I haven't walked the baby aisle for a long time, but there was fluoridated baby water with higher levels of fluoridation so that it could be mixed up with formula. And so that was used. Yeah, I mean, it's also, of course, in most municipal water supplies. So therefore, any drink that uses municipal waters, we're getting fluoride. Like, it's very challenging not to get some. And it's a matter of like what choice you want to make. All right. So I'm going to bring it to doing life together. We're going to talk about it. You make your own decision. Do your research. Do not do something because Sonia said so. I know you won't. But maybe my little 30 minutes chatting with you every week, maybe it just causes you to go, I'm going to do my research. Maybe I'm going to reconsider something that I've always just assumed was gospel truth. My goodness, I can tell you so many things in my life that I assumed were gospel truth, like literally, right? And then I learned they weren't. And being raised in a false doctrine religiously, and then God having me research it, there he was again, like helping me do my research, actually read the Bible in its full entirety and go, does this line up? And it did not line up. It was just one more thing. But because of it, I'm like, don't just follow me. I'm just a lady here chatting on the internet. I would say that I do a lot of research, but that does not make me infallible at any level. I'm just sharing what I've learned on the way and why maybe I do some things that I do and why I feel the way I feel. But anyway, take it for what it's worth. All right. So if it causes any thyroid issues, is it the pineal gland? Some people also feel like it might impact that. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. What do we do about it? Well, first of all, there are non-fluoridated dental options. So we have been to a lot of different dentists. And like I said, we found one we absolutely loved in South Dakota. And they were so honoring with, I didn't want x-rays on the boys because I believe that x-ray radiation is cumulative. And I'm thinking, why add to the cumulativeness of it, right? Like if it's something I don't need. So we really just worked closely with them to say, hey, is it really necessary? And they're like, actually, their teeth look, and we came to decisions. Now, was it the right decision? I don't know. I feel good about it, but we all have to make our own decision because then we all have to live with the consequences and the results of whatever decision we made. And so that's why I'm like, do your research. At least if you make the wrong decision, you're like, well, hey, I really, truly did deep dive this. Still didn't work out the right way, whatever, it happens. But then we also chose no fluoride. So they would not do the fluoride treatment. They would use the non-fluoridated. I think some floss is fluoridated, but also that polish. And so very many years ago, I was searching out non-fluoridated toothpaste. And so been trying to use that for, So they just check for cavities. Here's an interesting thing on that actually, Karen, is that, so I was raised on a farm, so we had well water. And interestingly enough, it was farm country. And there was a point in our community where a lot of families were hit with cancer around us. And so because of that, it was encouraged that these families start getting their water tested. And it was so interesting to me because just 2 miles down the road, a well water tested night and day different from how our well water 2 miles away tested. Interesting fact. So it turned out that our water tested pretty well, like it wasn't high in nitrates and it didn't have, high bacteria or whatever. So that was a blessing because that was the water I was raised on. But being raised on well water, it was not fluoridated. So my exposure to fluoride would have been very low. I got my first cavity, and it was a teeny tiny cavity. Like they're like, it's really little, but we'll fill it. It was after, it's been in the past 10 years, I suppose. And so I had them fill it. Now, again, when we fill, which fortunately our kids have had very few cavities overall, but when we do, we're very much about what kind of composite gets used in there so that it doesn't have the temesirol, the mercury in it, because that's a whole nother topic. Dental health is so critically important. This is way bigger than what I'm going to be able to cover tonight. I will tell you that. Like, there's a whole movie on root canals. Who knew, right? Like, what is it called? Shoot, I can't remember. It's like a documentary on that. Interesting. We could deep dive that. We could deep dive the fillings that most people were used in their mouth and the impacts of that. So yeah, I'm not going down all that road tonight, but I'm just going to say, do your research for sure. Now, here's one thing I know is I have known people who got those fillings removed after having some heavy metal toxicity showing up in their body and tracking part of it down to their mouth. And some of them got those fillings removed from a doctor who said they could remove it. Oh, yeah. And they got incredibly, scarily ill. So my thing is, find a biological dentist who has all of the air stuff. You do not want to skimp on that decision based on what I've seen. I think you really want to find someone who doesn't just say, oh yeah, sure, we do that, but is like very, very good reviews, good track record on that. So for cavities, they just manually check our teeth for cavities, and we have gotten some x-rays from time to time. Like, we just say how often is necessary, and maybe every 2 years instead of every 6 months or whatever. Just, it's not a huge deal. Of all the mountains I'm gonna die on, hopefully I don't die on a mountain. I don't know what that saying is. That's probably not top of my list, but again, I think small choices matter. And so anyway, that's the choice we made. But so they found this one little thing and they filled it with a little of the white composite filling, and away we go. Now, in the meantime, no. So then, trying to think the order, sorry. So I started researching hydroxyapatite, and I was like, it looks really cool. Now, it's kind of new to me, so if anybody knows downside to this product, let me know. But I'm told, I believe it's in Japan, that they have used it for like 2 decades, and it is an alternative to fluoride. I thought, this is brilliant. This is amazing. And it's supposed to help remineralize your teeth, which I think is so cool. I've looked into remineralization for a long time. Like, there's oil pulling where you swish coconut oil and, all these things. Cause I think our bodies are meant to heal themselves. And so I do believe that our teeth could remineralize. I've held that belief. I wasn't sure how to get it done, but I believed it could be so. So I went in to the dentist, and this is just not that long ago, and she was checking my teeth. She goes, you have a little teeny tiny divot. And I said, well, I have one cavity in my mouth. Do you see it? She goes, you have no, you have no fillings, nothing. I was like, okay, I bet the filling popped out of that. And she's like, oh, okay, do you want me to refill it? I go, nope, I'm going to remineralize it. And she probably thought I was crazy. But I began to use, I've bought several toothpaste with this product in it, with this ingredient. And some I've had to order from Canada and, do whatever. And then I found one that I really like. So I went back to the dentist, on for my usual. So it must have been around 6 months or whatever. And she cleaned my teeth. She goes, oh my gosh, you don't have a single cavity. Your mouth looks absolutely amazing. And so I don't know. What do you think? Did I remineralize it? So I think I did. I think I did. I know it was super small, but wow, like what if? What if? What if? That's all I got is I'm like, So if you're looking for, and then I am obsessed with the Norwex toothbrush. I know a lot of people prefer an electric toothbrush. I bought an electric toothbrush. I don't know if it's just a personality thing, but sitting there and just holding it, I don't know. I just didn't do very good. I wanted to like brush. So I am obsessed with the Norwex Silver Care toothbrushes. If you don't have it, if for no other reason during travel, it's amazing. But I love that. And then, so I had this other toothpaste that I finally kind of settled on. And she was like, your teeth are amazing, because I declined fluoride. I said, I grew up without fluoridated water. I have for many, many, many years not used fluoride on my teeth. And, I just feel like sometimes we need to share this stuff, because there's this idea that maybe, now I'm not saying my story is everybody's. Like, you do your research, you know your teeth, you know your story. But anyway, I'm just kind of just saying, hey, we got to talk about this stuff, right? So anyway, you can message me, but I told her, hey, I found this toothpaste. She goes, oh my goodness, it's actually one of the best if you're not doing fluoride. And I was like, okay, I'm impressed. She actually knew about it. So that was encouraging, because I've talked to a lot of dental hygienists and dentists both, who were pretty hardcore on fluoride, like absolutely not open to the conversation. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited that maybe there's something that can replace it. You know what else I'm excited about? I made a quick reference to this last week. For anyone who stuck through last week's thing, because I know some of my viewers probably thought completely opposite of everything I said last week, and probably stopped halfway through. I don't know. But at the end, there is a gentleman who I have followed for over 2 decades. And I found him because I was researching a bit of a sacred cow in the world, something that you're not supposed to ever question. Is just how it is. And I can't really go deep here, but I'll just say that in the process, I found a lot of people who were researchers. And one person that I found is Bobby RFK Jr. Okay. Now, I don't know that I agree with Bobby on everything, but I have so appreciated his willingness to go upstream for what he believes in. And I saw somewhere, I hope I'm right, I saw that he hopes to challenge fluoridated water. And I pray he does. I believe for our overall health, and by the way, water filtration is huge. It's huge. So, but it's hard to filter out fluoride. That's from my conversations with water treatment people. That's more challenging to get out of the water versus like chlorine is pretty easy to get out. Chloramine is different, like you have to treat it differently, but that fluoride can be more challenging. But that has been also something that I have tried to do, hopefully, for our family, and then like sending them with a huge water bottle to school. Now they still end up refilling at school sometimes, and it's like, okay, but again, I feel like baby steps, the things that we can do, we should do. So anyway, I'm cheering on Bobby Kennedy, as I believe that Trump has tapped him to help make America healthy again. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to start doing deeper research to make sure the things that our American population are assuming are safe, but really have never been properly tested, that they actually get tested. So excited. And I know that he hasn't been, not everyone's been happy about his stance, let's just say. But I, for one, I'm super excited, because he stands for health freedom, which is what I stand for. And I appreciate his work. All right. With that, we are going to wrap it up tonight. That half hour went fast, but I just invite you to do some research on if you want to continue using fluoridated products. Think about, like, I think canned foods tend to be higher in fluoride, probably because of the water needed for packing them. That's off like long-term memory though, so don't quote me on that one. But anyway, and then I don't know. I mean, just what can you do? And then how can you still keep your teeth healthy? I believe that minerals, intake of proper minerals, are key for healthy teeth. And interestingly, I do believe that what happens in utero has some impact, like the nutrients that are available during that time may have some impact. But I still think that even as adults, even if you are like, hey, I've got horrible teeth, Sonia, and I can't speak to that. I don't have horrible teeth, and I'm beyond grateful. I think that avoiding a lot of processed foods obviously probably makes sense from both a nutritional stance as well as, I mean, sugar content with the teeth. I think that's a fair assessment that, like, drinking soda pop probably does not help mouth health. So yeah, and brushing regularly. I think the mechanical movement of brushing is huge, and flossing, of course, because that gets in the tougher stuff. Now I say that a little tongue in cheek because I'm not the world's best flosser, which is a whole nother story, but we'll save that for another time. Anyway, I hope this is helpful just to talk about it. And I want to say thank you for those of you who weighed in last week, those of you who agree with me or think maybe somewhat like me, and those of you who don't. That's what this is about, that we can come together and talk, because for too long there's been division and silence between different mindsets, and people get stuck talking in a silo. They only talk with people they agree with. And if we only talk in silos, we only like talk with our little pod of people who all agree, it's hard to not have blind spots. And I've learned that a lot. So I'm just grateful for each of you who shared your thoughts last week on a tough topic. And yeah, so anyway, I just love you all. I pray blessing over each of you. I just ask the Lord that he will continue to shine his light on your path to show you clearly that next step, whatever is lying ahead for you. All right. God bless you, my friends, and we will see you next week.